For the second time in less than a week, a passenger jet taking off from New York had to make an emergency landing after an encounter with some birds.
It happened to a JetBlue plane last night. Jeff Glor is here with more. Jeff, good morning.
Charlie, good morning to you. This plane was only in the air for about 7 minutes. It was an eventful 7 minutes for the pilots.
All right, clear for takeoff, 16 JetBlue 571.
JetBlue Flight 571 left for West Palm Beach at 6:45 p.m. and shortly after was struck by at least 2 birds, forcing a return to the Westchester County Airport.
JetBlue 571, we got to come back. We hit 2 big geese.
JetBlue 571, roger, and standby.
2 geese crossed in front of the jet and hit into the windshield, obstructing the pilot's view. And though no damage was later found, they declared an emergency, heading back to base to switch planes.
Airport 11, proceed on runway 16.
Airport 11, taking 16.
JetBlue 571, nice to have you back. Turn left at kilo and contact ground point 82.
The flight landed shortly after 7, and there were no reported injuries. The crew and all 54 passengers boarded another plane and took off again for Florida about 2 hours later.
It was awful. Well, everything seemed fine at first. And then we took off, and it was evident we hit something. And the plane just kept swerving from left to right.
Oh my God, I mean, it could have been worse, because if that thing ever went into the engine, it was certainly inconvenient, but, as a comparison to what it could have been, we're good.
3 years ago, Captain Chesley Sullenberger famously guided a U.S. Airways flight into the water along Manhattan's west side after birds took out both engines, also on takeoff. Since that incident, birds have smashed into more than 1,700 flights in New York State alone. And this emergency landing is the second such event in the New York area in less than a week. Last Thursday, a passenger aboard a Los Angeles-bound flight captured this video of a flock of at least 7 birds just before they crashed into an engine, forcing a return to JFK.
What kind of birds are these?
Gulls, usually. I mean, a wide variety, but typically gulls, Charlie. Yeah.
As in seagulls?
As in seagulls. Or other
because
gulls.
we've heard of geese. I mean, we laugh, but it is a very serious problem, which we've all learned so much about since everything happened with Sully, with the landing on the Hudson. But they are, as you pointed out in your report, pretty common.
Definitely a threat. I think one thing that's significant about this one in particular and the incident last week is that more often than not, these happen on approach and landing as opposed to takeoff. These two were both on takeoff.
Because we've seen a series of these, are people getting increasingly concerned and saying this takes on a kind of urgency?
I think there is concern, but listen, the birds are there, and we're not going to stop flying. So the biggest concern obviously comes in when birds hit both engines and potentially take out both engines. In this particular case, it was a window issue and not the engine issue, and that's why the pilots went back.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, guys.